Good afternoon. Get in here, get in here, get in here. Welcome everyone to Terrainio's Hair Studio Shop Talk Live, located at 103 Charleston Highway in West Columbia, South Carolina, where your imagination is your only limitation. And yes, we are still a Battle Cat company. Today I'm so excited, y'all, to have this conversation. It's a topic that many of us may not be aware of. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about presenting this to you all today, because it really is a part of our everyday lives. And what I'm talking about is all of us have someone that we know of, or we may be a product of ourselves in our families that has that hyphenated title. I know you've heard of, or you may be yourselves, that sister cousin, that brother uncle, that we grew up together person that is in your lives. And in fact, you did grow up in the same household. And in some cases, a lot of cases, we don't really delve any deeper to see how did that come to be? How did that family dynamic actually happen? Why was I raised with all of my cousins in Big Mama house and Papa's house? And how did it happen? We look at the benefits of it. We see some of the actual growth that has taken place because you had that extended family thrusted together. But let's go a little deeper today. Have you ever thought about the strain, the impact that a situation like that may have had on Big Mama, may have had on Papa, may have had on that auntie who had to take on the load of an Insta family? I know of someone myself who, when we were growing up, lost his mother and father all before we graduated college, and had a lot of siblings. And there was no one there to take on the responsibility of being mama and daddy. Well, this person decided to bear that cross himself, he and his wife, and they literally adopted his siblings and raised them as their own until they became fortified adults. But if you look at that, imagine what that may have done to the economic structure in that family, the psychological structure of that family, just the burden, and not burden in a bad way, burden in a factual way, that it had put on that particular dynamic. I mean, having the missionary society stop by every now and then with some well wishes and some food and maybe a little love offering from the church is all well and fine, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Or having that family member that always cooks a little more and they seem to always have extra, so they bring it by every now and then to try to help soothe some of the stress that may be going on in that household that was only designed for, say, 3 or 4 people. Big Mama and Papa had already envisioned what their future was going to be like, and they were ready for retirement at this age. Then all of a sudden they had to start all over and re-raise a whole new family and do it with love, hopefully and prayerfully. And that's not an easy task. So how did they do it? How can they do it? Because it's happening every day. This is not just something of yesteryear that happened down in the rural area of South Carolina. This is happening all over the world. But today on Shop Talk Live, located at 103 Charleston Highway in West Columbia, South Carolina, where your imagination is your only limitation. And yes, we are still a Battle Cat company. I have an answer for you in the form of our illustrious guest for this evening, Dr. Kimberly John High, who has made it her life's work as a part of her nonprofit organization, Kindred Hearts of South Carolina, to answer some of those questions, to provide the resources necessary to help navigate such a tumultuous responsibility. And she has counted not robbery to share with us today what her fine organization is doing and what you may be able to take from this conversation and help yourselves and help someone else. So I ask that you like, share, follow, do all the things that we need to do to keep this live going, because what we're trying to do here at Terrainio's Hair Studio is provide answers to questions that you didn't even know you had. And today I'm hoping that this is one of those, let me rephrase that, I know that this is one of those occasions that we're going to be answering questions that you didn't even know you had. So, Dr. Kim,
Yes, sir.
I certainly appreciate you for taking the time out of your extremely busy schedule to spend about an hour with us today over here at Terrainio Cunningham. Welcome.
Warmest welcome ever, honey. That introduction that you just gave,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to take that recording and put it on our website.
Come on, I ask you to do
You
that.
have explained kinship care so well.
Thank you, Kim.
And like you said, it's an age-old concept.
Yes, ma'am.
Where grandparents who have lived their lives, where older siblings who haven't even really started their lives, aunts and uncles who've already raised their children, cousins who say, oh no, you're not going anywhere but with us, and even aunties, mama's best friend, daddy's homeboy, uncles have said, you know what, I don't care what's going on for whatever reason, you need to stay here, here we are.
Yes.
So thank you so much for this opportunity for me to share with your world, if you will. The concept, yes. Yes, I'm usually on the other side of the lens to see what you have going on. But this is truly community.
Yes, ma'am.
This is what I like.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, no LLC other than your shops on this. This is you. This is your skill. Like I told you last week, where skill and gift and anointing connects, that's where the real story is.
I'm humble.
And so I thank you for that.
I thank you for being this. Thank you, Dr. Kim. Thank you. Yes, man. We're going to have a good... Y'all know we always have a real good time at Terrainio's Hair Studio. And it's just going to be accentuated even more with this beautiful gift that is brought to us today through the form of Dr. Kim. I just thank you so much. We have a few questions, and we're going to have a conversation. If you all feel like chiming in, we got some people in our studio audience who may be able to look at the questions that you may have and may shout them out to us. So if you just want to listen, like, share, and follow, we appreciate that as well. But make sure this goes viral, y'all, because this information that this lady is about to share with us today is going to be a game changer for a lot of people. And it may be a game changer for you. So just buckle up. Let's have a real good time. Dr. Kim?
Yes, sir.
Who are you? Where are you from? And who are your people?
Honey, listen. I'm the only girl of Elbert and Earlene Little.
All right.
I hail from Wallace, South Carolina.
The metropolis.
The metropolis of Wallace, South Carolina, in the Marlboro County.
All right.
And I am the only girl of, I say that I have 5 brothers. Wow. 3 biological. The older 2 are actually my first cousin.
Oh, brother cousins.
The oldest is deceased, God rest his soul. But he will tell anybody, and we'll fight anybody who say that we aren't brother and sister. My second oldest brother now, he calls me every now and then. He calls me his little big sis.
Okay.
And so my grandmother, Julia May Little, I always offer her name. My paternal grandmother raised them when their mom and dad died.
Wow.
And so that's who I am. I come from community. I come from family. So it wasn't strange to me that when my nieces and nephews' mom got killed in a car accident, their maternal grandmother, in 2003, their maternal grandmother said, Kim, we're going to raise them. I'm not letting them be separated. And so she and I both reside here in Columbia, and the children were, some were in Columbia, others were in Marlboro with their mom before she passed. And so we did that together. Our community, our village, and I like to say our active village, because the village is already there. Right. The village is already constructed. Right. It has to be active or more active than what it already is. And so from there, we said that we were going to raise these kids, and we were going to take care of those children. Yeah. I am afforded the opportunity in my full-time job to serve within the community. And so I got connected to what we call the Citizens Review Panel. Okay. The federal government states it's a mandate that there is a volunteer committee of community persons and professionals that will get together and they review the policies and procedures of the child welfare system, which is our DSS. Wow. And so from that, we learned that DSS was using, as, for the lack of a better word, an alternative placement. So, for example, if you got a call and said, hey, I have your daughter here. She has your grandchild here. We're at 7-Eleven. If you don't want your child to go into DSS custody, then you need to come get it.
So it can happen that quickly, like
that quick.
At just the call up of an authority, and it can be a life-changing moment, just made by, I guess, I don't want to say a hackneyed decision, but a decision that you didn't know you were about to make that day going into it.
Yes.
It's not a holding place that they send them while you can ponder and see if, can we take this on? Is this something we're going to really go in and do? You have to make that split-second decision at that moment in life.
Most make that split-second decision. What I will say, there is not one specific way kinship care can happen.
Okay, and that's what I wanted you to tell us. Because y'all, listen, growing up in the rural part of South Carolina, and I guess growing up anywhere, but that's my experience. I know of a lot of people, I've heard of a lot of people that were raised by, that were brought into a family, and like you and your brother cousin, just grew up like that, and there was no distinction between what the actual relationship was and how, I guess, nature and nurture. There was no distinction. But I didn't know, y'all, I did not realize it had an actual name.
Yes.
So kinship care is not just some slang Terrainio throughout the day to try to sound cool and savvy. That's an actual term.
It's an actual term.
Expound on that, if you will.
More recently, I would say within the last, I'll give it maybe the last 9 to 10 years, that our social services have started using the term kinship care to formally identify the permanent or even temporary placement of children with kin. Because for whatever reason, bio parents were not able to do so. In my case, it was both through death, right? But we do have cases where the children are placed with kin because of child abuse and neglect. Right? We also have cases where children are placed with kin because the parents are young and maybe they're in college. And the grandparents say, hey, go ahead, finish your college, do what you need to do, we'll take care of the children. So not all cases are bad cases, but the majority are. And so they're the term formal and informal. So formal refers to a court involvement or Department of Social Services involvement. So some way a judge has said, hey, we need to place these children with someone. Either it's going to the traditional foster care system or call a family member. Now, I will say that South Carolina is now moving forward to being a kin-first state. What that means is, before they place a child into foster care, they are in search for kin.
Now, what is the difference between kinship care and foster care?
So the difference is that with foster care, you're usually going into a stranger's home that you have no contact with or even know of. These are persons who are already set up, already trained, they have stipends, they're registered in the system, they've gone through a thorough background check through the Department of Social Services. In the formal process, kin placements, they go through that as well, right? They're going to make sure that this is a reputable place for these children to be placed before they actually do it, and or that the connection is there. That familiar connection is there for kinship. So usually kinship care givers are giving those children through what we call a family preservation case. They're not usually taken into DSS's legal custody. Okay, let me say this too. I'm not a representative of DSS, nor am I an enemy of DSS, but I am here for...
We just having a conversation.
We just having
Y'all just happen to be listening in. Is that okay? All right.
Let me do that. Let me do that.
We are no officials of any governmental agency. She has a nonprofit. I have a world-winning, renowned hair salon. And that's the extent of our situation. So don't come for us, DSS. Let's be sitting for you. Okay? Yeah, okay. Now we got that out of the way. All right.
These placements are usually done with some vetting, if you will, right? They're going to make sure that these placements are good. That's the formal process. Informal is what I have. Nobody came and asked my grandmama, is she capable of raising these kids? Does she have enough money? Right. Parents are deceased. Same thing with my nieces and nephews. Nobody said, oh, are you going to do this? You know, we're going to do it. They're not going to be separated. And so there are more. I think the stats say for every one child that's placed in kinship care through foster care, there are 308 that aren't.
So these people, these children, these poor souls, they're out there kind of in limbo, or they're just gonna grab onto the system, or the system grabs onto them at some point. What happens to that 300 plus people that aren't placed through kinship care? They're gonna probably go into a stranger's home at best.
So what we want to do is define formal and informal again, right?
Okay.
So informal is we have no connection usually to the system at all, unless they are trying to get SNAP for the children, or there is like a TANF program where it's child only, and we can get some funding there. But nobody is usually going to come and just snatch up. There's usually a verbal and or written agreement between the bio parent and or the kinship caregiver, and this is informal, y'all. Usually there's just some type of agreement that, hey, it's just best for the child to stay with you for whatever reason. Okay, we won't dive into what those foundations could be, because they could be varied, right? If you've seen one kinship care family, then you've only seen one. Okay,
I like that.
So I want to make that clear. Everything is not the dynamic. So, but I'm going to stick with sort of where I am and what I mostly serve, right? So the informal that I mostly serve, nobody is really going to come and just pluck those kids out, right? And say, nope, you're not supposed to have them. That's usually not going to happen. What's going to happen is, and we'll get later into what some challenges are with those families, but there is no financial support for these families anywhere. There's not one organization that said, oh, hey, because you're a kinship caregiver, then we have a pot of money for you.
So nobody runs up when this happens, because in a lot of cases they may not know or be in the loop on, you know, this person is now living with and a part of that particular family.
Right.
But even if they find out, I mean, by your experience, and that's all we're going on, no one from a government agency comes and has a meeting. We understand that you're a kinship caregiver and here are your options for support. That doesn't normally happen, does it?
No, not for informal.
Wow.
That doesn't normally happen. And usually when you do want to go into whatever agency to get support, there are these common, I'll say standard regulations that they have that really doesn't account for this may not be my bio child. Let me use one of the most prevalent challenges they get, right? If the child, they need the child's birth certificate for whatever reason,
for everything,
and because the bio parent is not willing to give it, or may not even know where it is, and they won't come and go through the process so they can get it, then there's that challenge. You have to prove, I can't just walk in and get your son's birth certificate, right? So there has to be some type of way that these systems are being more informed and adapting their regulations to these types of informal families. Now, the struggle is also, we'll go back to formal. So say that DSS has called and DSS has taken the children away and say that they are in DSS's legal custody. We're going to pin that right. They got to be in DSS's legal custody in order for, we'll keep with grandma because that's the most popular type of kinship arrangements, right? And so we want to make sure that the grandma knows what she has to go through in order to become a kinship foster parent.
So she does have some level of support from the state, because technically they are, and I hate to even use the term, I don't want to say property, but they are under the care of, I should say, legally, the state.
Legal custody of the Department of Social Services.
You helping me, because I don't even know what this was. So they are eligible if they choose to become kinship foster parents. But when you think about DSS, what do you think about? All right. That's the sentiment. That's the sentiment the majority of the community has, right? I don't want to be connected to the system. Right. And what we try to share and try to advocate for is that these kinship caregivers, please, if you are getting your child through the Department of Social Services, so I'm going to talk to you, and they talk with you, or they don't even mention kinship foster parenting,
Ask them about kinship foster parenting. Why? Because that's where you are more likely than not to get resources.
Unlock the resources.
Unlock those resources. Specifically, say great grandmama, 75 years old, taking in a 3-month-old child.
My God.
By that child get 6 months, we be looking for daycare. How is she to pay for daycare?
Or even get them to daycare in some cases.
Yeah, on her fixed income. But yet we have to conquer that challenge of, I don't want the system in my business. Well, the system is already connected to you and in your business because you're accepting that child through the Department of Social Services.
Wow.
So we want to express, please, allow the system, quote unquote, to support and to give you information, right?
Absolutely.
So that's formal, that's informal.
Well, since you brought this up, does the South Carolina Department of Social Services, in your opinion, have adequate resources allocated to kinship care families?
My overall answer is no.
Okay.
Why? Because I like to say, and we're stuck on the system. DSS itself is not the system. It's an agency within the system. Okay. We, community, we're the system. We make up the system. We make this thing work.
That's right.
There's a caseworker, there's a case manager, there's a grandparent, there's a guardian ad litem, there are other supervisors, there's community. We are the system, right? So no, DSS cannot ever be able to do any one thing by itself. However, they are building, like I said, the Kin First mindset. And so they are contracting with other community organizations to make sure that these kinship caregivers who accept the children through the Department of Social Services are referred to community organizations. So that's that whole collaboration, that's that whole let's do this thing together attitude that we see.
Now let me ask you this. Do you know of, or is it already in place for DSS and other regulatory agencies to go in, even in a kinship? I know they're supposed to do it, from what I understand, in a foster care, even adopted situation sometimes, but do they have ways, or is there a mechanism in place to go in and do like a spot check to make sure? I mean, because while the intentions may be good, while, you know, in theory, it's better to have, in my opinion at least, to have the children with their family, be it extended or not, everybody ain't right. You know what I'm saying? And some people, they want to check, or they might have some mental issues themselves where they could be thrusted into even a more abusive type situation. Does somebody come back around from DSS from time to time and say, hey, just in the neighborhood, we'll make sure nobody getting beat up? You know what I'm saying? Does that happen with kinship care? I hope so.
That does happen with the formal kinship care. That does happen. They have a case. And until a case is closed, they are, if they are in DSS's legal custody, then there's a guardian ad litem, a volunteer that goes in to be the voice of the child, to speak on behalf of the child and to check that. And usually before the child is placed anywhere, there is a process for the Department of Social Services to go in and to stay connected to that family for whatever time that case is open.
Wow.
Yeah.
Y'all, we're dealing with the babies here. Yeah. You're dealing with the caregiver, and in any situation, in my observation and experience, when you're that caregiver, whether it be for an ailing grandparent or whether it be for a child, there are times when you mentally and physically you get that strain and stress pulled on you, and your intentions may be pure in the beginning, and may still be pure, but we're still human. And you know, that's why I had to ask that question. You know, does somebody come in? Because you know, just like we're taking care of someone or being a caregiver, it's similar to what we talked about last month when we were talking about grief counseling and grief management. When, you know what I'm saying, when all the lights are gone and all of the, you know, the preacher has left and the choir stopped singing and all this kind of stuff, you stuck with the, not stuck with, but you're faced with the situation. And all the times it's not easy, and sometimes you find yourself at your wit's end. So that's where this community that we're talking about is so important to have in there. And I was just checking with Dr. Kim to see if she knew of or could validate that someone is coming in to do these spot checks and things of that nature. So that's where that came from. But now I would love to, and thank you for that all that feedback. I would love to get to your nonprofit organization. And how did Kindred Hearts of South Carolina come to be?
So I started talking earlier about the Citizens Review Panel, right?
Okay.
So as a group of us on there, we decided to do this project because we learned that the Department of Social Services was actually using kinship caregivers to support them in their casework.
Okay.
And that's how I would nicely say it.
Okay.
And so once we learned of that, we were like, okay, if this is happening so often, then how are these persons being supported? And we wanted to know more. So it was a group of us. I'll mention their name. That's why I said I'm co-founder, because it is the intellectual property of Kayla Millette Bacote, of Dr. Brooke Weimer and Ms. Lee Patterson, that we all sat and we drew up a plan on what kinship circles would be like. So kinship circles are support groups that we offer once a month.
Okay.
And so we said, we want to connect, we want to learn more about what's going on. So we met at the main library and we had some persons to come and we learned, and we're like, oh my goodness.
This is what's going on.
Is this what is going on?
Yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness. And we're not getting answers back. And I need this and these kids need that and they need this. And we were hearing all this stuff like something else has to be done.
These are just real people that you gather together to kind of get a feel for what's out there going on.
Yes.
So I know you were flabbergasted.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. And so knowing that, okay, yeah, our kids were getting, in a little trouble in school, but hey, we worked together and we had the wherewithal to call up the principals and the counselors and all of that stuff. And Richland too had a program, grandparents raising grandchildren at that time.
Oh, wow.
And honey of mine, I call her my godmom now. She wanted the picture of that support group that they had.
Yeah.
They knew her. They knew the children. They knew me, Aunt Kim.
Okay.
What, coming in. So it's community like that. I'm like, we got to see what's going on, how that's being done. And so from that, we said, okay, we're going to start support groups. And we were doing support groups just on our own at the library. And then I said, something has to be done. So in 2019, I was like, I'm tired of talking. I'm just going to do it.
Wow.
So we did the whole Secretary of State and got that established, and then I call it my pandemic baby in 2020. I was like, well, we sitting around, we ain't doing nothing. Let me go ahead and apply for this 501c3. And so here we are, a nonprofit organization where we are, our mission is to make sure that kinship caregivers have access to the resources that they need so they and their children can thrive. My mom laughs at me all the time, and I just changed my voicemail, right? And I would say, if the caregivers aren't okay, then the children aren't okay.
Can't be okay.
Right? And so we love the children, but our mission is to the caregiver.
Yeah, because that's the source that they're getting any assistance or any. First of all, love.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you don't want that love to be disguised or murked with outside extremities, where at the core, yes, I still love this person, I'm just stressed out. I don't know what to do, so I'm not providing optimum care because of what I'm going through internally. So it's awesome that you and your group have gotten together and made this a more formal organization. And it was already awesome you doing it on your, just at the library, but having that actual support of an actual structured 501c, and that takes it to the next level.
It does.
Kim, and you know what, when you think about it, Dr. Kim, obviously, by her title, is a very scholarly person. And she, just by hearing about it, had, just a conundrum going on in her own head as to how this was, happening, and no one was really there with something solid to assist these people with. Could you imagine people, and it's no, I'm not disparaging anyone or saying that they're not as much of or as good of or whatever person because they don't have a doctorate, nothing like that. But some people are not as scholarly as others, or not as involved or even concerned as others, but they still can be faced with that same responsibility. Could you imagine those persons trying to navigate a system that is, first of all, relatively new in formality, and in a lot of cases, we have a lot of bureaucracy inside of our different governmental systems and agencies. That, I don't care what school you went to, some of these forms you get, you might as well ask you to read the phone book or something. It's like, well, what do I do with this? You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know, but you haven't, like you said, you've built a community within the community to help do that. Is so awesome. Dr. Kim, that's so awesome.
Collaboration is what I use all the time. Community is what works.
That's right.
Is what I know of, because that's what I grew up in. Right? If we needed something, we didn't have it, then my granddad across the street had it, or Mr. Bunk down the road, my paternal grandma had it, and we just did it. Or Miss Shell next door had, whatever, my grandma, Miss Elsie on the other side. those were resources, right? And so the basic needs are there. Financial needs are what's needed for kinship caregivers. Resources on where can I go? My roof is leaking. And how do I get that fixed? There are programs within our community. I love to say that whatever we need is within our community. We just need to know where it is. So when the kinship caregivers that we get to serve, whenever they say, hey, I need this, I can say, hold up. Let me call Terrainio and see, what kind of specials he got going on.
Absolutely. I mean, that is a part of it.
Get that done. Yeah.
I mean, imagine grandmama getting this new baby, and she ain't done pigtails in a long time.
Right.
And this baby coming here with all this bush of hair, and you're like, well, what do I do with this?
How can I?
Right. And it's not the child's fault. I mean, why should they go through childhood and something that could impact and affect them throughout their lives from just a stunted start? That's not proper. So absolutely, put me on the list. Absolutely. Now, you spoke about this briefly, but I would love for you to expound on it, because I love stories. I love to hear, the makings of a person, and a dynamic person such as yourself. So I know the story is so interesting.
Sure.
But as much as you're comfortable with sharing, were there any personal situations that brought life to this amazing organization that you created?
Sure thing. So I talked about my brothers. I talked about my nieces and nephews, and them growing up, and then having been a volunteer and seeing like what's going on within our community. And so I knew something else just has to be done. And so each time I think about when my nephews had to get their tonsils taken out, and their grandma, the doctors knew them, but when we had to go to the surgical facility, they didn't know us. And so we gone there, we prepped, we got up early that morning, and we got there. Guess what? We couldn't have the surgery because the bio dad needed to sign off. The bio dad worked a different shift, wasn't able to come, and or didn't return phone calls. So much happened, right? And so I was like, oh my goodness, what we're gonna do? We're gonna get it done. So they allowed us to take paperwork, get it signed. Then that person, the bio father, met us up there, and although he couldn't stay, we got it done. But it's just that process of oh my goodness,
unnecessary, but
but we understand your regulations and we understand your policies, but. We had the wherewithal. We stayed on it. We made sure, but not everybody, like you said, has that wherewithal to say, okay, this is the next step, right? And so small things could be to some like that. Made me think, if this simple thing is happening, do others go through this? How much? How many times? What else are they going through? So many questions come up with that. I just know that with my second oldest brother, he calls me, he says I talk too much and I'm mean, but I'm really not.
You're assertive and straightforward.
Thank you so very much. I will take those words and tell him that next time. He tells me that. But he often says that I'm so proud of y'all, me and my brothers. I'm so proud of y'all. I'm so proud of y'all. Now, I'll tell you, he has done and is doing just as much as we are in his life, but it was that, he'll say, your dad. So my dad, to him, he said he's my three. He's my brother.
Okay.
He's my uncle.
Okay.
He's my brother because my grandma raised him, and he's my dad.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so
that's a lot of hats.
That's a lot
Big
of hats.
hats.
That's a lot of hats. And so his being grateful for community did not take away the griefs or the if my parents were, if I had this, or if I didn't have that. So those are challenges that he still, as mid-50 year old, still has. So how can we as a community support caregivers in addressing those mental questions that children have? And so stuff like that, that's what prompted me
and drove you
into what I can do, and then how I can get the community to help me do this. And I don't care what degree or anything I have. That's a piece of paper that I'm grateful for,
and so deserving of. Exactly.
And
using it.
But it's community that I know with community we can thrive. Everybody can thrive.
And you're so right. And you look at it at the point that you're providing or providing this assistance and trying to meet these needs is such a critical point in a person's life.
Right.
I mean, when you're a child, when you're infant, when you're adolescent, when you're going through the teenagers and pre-adulthood, if something catastrophic has already put you in a situation where you're not in your nuclear family anyway.
Right.
And then you go into a situation where you don't have the resources, and by no fault of your own, by no fault of the caregiver, it's just what we call lifing has happened.
Right.
It can have an indelible place, an indelible stain on your life throughout the rest of your life. And it can be something that if someone had just captured that moment and helped to assuage some of the stresses of it and helped to relieve some of the pressure of it at that critical moment in your life, then you could be a more productive member of society as you matriculate into that, age, into that maturity of your life. So it is very important that we take care of these babies. And you said it so well earlier. We love the babies, absolutely. That is your end user if you were speaking about someone providing a service. But if you don't capture and meet the needs of that caregiver, that 5-year-old can't run out in the street and say, okay, I need this tooth done. I need, some psychological evaluation. And they don't know to even ask for those type things. So you have to have someone, the caregiver, in position, but you can't leave them there by themselves. You're going to have to prop them up and help them out, because as good as you are, and I hope to have been and still am with my child, if I didn't have the support, and it wasn't a situation where, I was thrusted with any, one particular thing, but if I didn't have my village just to support just what I would consider mainstream growth and rearing of a child, where would we be? Could you imagine waking up one day and all of a sudden you've got 5 kids in your house and you only started out with 2?
Yes.
Imagine those 3 more personalities, mouths to feed. Imagine the increase in the need of that household that you weren't even planning for. And chances are, in a lot of cases, in some cases I might say, you weren't even in that age to even think about starting over and doing some of the things we find Big Mama and Papa do. It's a level. I mean, ever since we started talking about this, well, I kind of got in on the bandwagon talking to Dr. Kim about it. I've learned so much and have such a higher level of appreciation for what you do and the need for what you do. So, I mean, it's just astronomical. I mean, just thank you. If nobody's ever said that, I'm sure they have a million times.
It's my pleasure. We had our April support group last night, and we ended on 3 words. So the first word you would say, what's your current emotional state? The second word would be, when you're in your lowest, what is one word you would say to yourself to get you back to where you would desire to be? And then the last word, that was my second word. And then the last word would be, what is an encouraging word to give somebody? So my word for where I was and where I still am right now is accomplished. And that comes with a whole lot. Not that, I am this and I have this type of car and this. No, the things that I've asked God for within Kindred Hearts, within support of serving kinship caregivers and kinship care family, I'm seeing it come to pass. So right now, my emotional state is, hey, look at here, I'm on your show in the community, talking about kinship care to common folk, if you will,
and that's who we're trying to reach here.
That's what every day, the community, this is where I am. And so to get myself back, I have to reset, right? And then my third word, what was my third word? Upward.
Upward. You got to keep moving.
You got to keep moving.
Yes.
You got to keep moving and keep looking.
And keep looking.
Upward.
Right? Where your help
comes
from.
That's right. That's right. And so stuff like that, the community being in support groups with kinship caregivers who just talk candidly about how they feel. They are dealing with the loss, whether it's through death or whether it's through, oh my God, I thought I did what I needed to do to raise my child better, and then look where I am taking care of his or her child. Or it could be that overcompensation where, okay, I didn't do what I needed to do. Oh my God, I'm gonna do better. And now you're spoiling these kids,
which is just as bad.
Yeah, right. And you're giving them all this, and you're trying to overcompensate, or because the bio parents are or have done what they did, you hold them tight. They can't go nowhere. PTSD. They can't do nothing. They can't do something because you're overcompensated for what you thought you did wrong. All of these are what we call risk factors when accepting children into your care. That's right. And so more morbidity or mortality. Whenever the caregivers are older, they're thinking about, who am I going to leave these kids with if something happens to them?
Oh my God, the dynamics of this film, the layers. Layers. That's why you said it's a phrase you use.
When you see one kinship care family, you've only seen one.
Because everything is just like adjusting the treble, the bass, and all the stuff on your stereo. It's all balanced to your specific need. And this could be something very different, although the situation may appear the same. And I didn't even think about the fact, I mean, I thought about it, but when you hear you say it, it really just hit home for me. You're probably still processing the fact of the reason as to why or how this came to be. And in some cases, it could be a tragic loss. So you as a grandparent probably, mourning the loss of your child while simultaneously trying to provide a way for your This is big, Kim.
My nieces and nephews' grandma, and I'll call her name Gillia Robinson Basemore. I call her my godmom. So she actually said, I think the kids were in middle school or high school, and we started going to family counseling. And that was maybe almost 15 years after we've gotten all the children. She finally admitted, I never grieved my daughter.
Oh, wow.
Because I had to make sure that the children were good.
You got to put that face on. And then no telling when that bedroom door closes at the end of the night, you in there having a crisis. And got to get back up the next morning while you're fixing breakfast or whatever, getting ready for school, smiling and doing the show. But then when they leave, you're falling apart. And all of this is not healthy. For the godmom. You know what I'm saying? And for the kids, also, because surely even though you're trying to put forth the good foot and the good face, something is happening that you may not even be aware of that you're trying to compensate for, that the kids think these kids that can't pick up on it. Just because the eyes closed don't mean you sleep. Okay,
and so and that's funny that you said that, because when she said that, they were like, oh my goodness. Now they're thinking, oh, I'm at fault. Oh, it's my fault. Oh, well, how I done it. And so all of that, and that's why do not sleep. I know in the African American community, actually we say African American community because whoever did research say that we, shy away from counseling more, than any other. But I think a lot of people, we didn't think of the word quack, where that comes from.
But you're right.
But we like to segment ourselves when in actuality we all kind of shy away from going to bare our souls, if you will, to somebody that we don't know.
Well, in most cases, we're taught to be, as we're growing up, be stronger, be faster, be more astute. Because no parent wants to say, raise your child to be as weak and transparent as possible. I don't think that's ever a parental, advice to give your child. So when you're hearing that reinstated over and over again as you're growing up, when you become an adult, then you don't want to fail at that because that's one of your paradigms.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
So having to get that understanding through family and group counseling was very, very, very important.
It's very important.
And it opened up a whole lot where they were all able, we were all able, because we never did anything like not together. Aunt Kim, I got this appointment. Aunt Kim, we're going to do this. Aunt Kim, she even called me Aunt Kim. And her siblings, which could be my parents, say Aunt Kim. So that's how close-knitted we are. But that has formed our support groups.
That's awesome.
For kindergarten.
Because previously you're just putting out fires. Just trying to make it through the day and make it through tomorrow. And there is credence to that. You are supposed to just take it day by day, but you shouldn't be putting out fires every day. That's chaos after a while. Well, Dr. Kim, let me ask you this. What does your organization do to provide assistance to these families? Can you just walk us through, say, a quick case of if you got a phone call or if you find someone has reached out to you, what do you do? I don't want to answer the question because I don't know. So
Yeah,
you
sure,
tell me
sure
what
thing,
you do.
Sure. So like I said, it looks different for every
Okay.
family, but what is common is that we will, of course, answer our phone, answer our email, however way they reach out to us, and we would do what we call an assessment. And we want to know who they are. We want to know, and I'll tell them, share as much with me as you would like, as you feel comfortable with, as long as it's the truth. Because I can't help you if I don't know the truth, right? And so I let people know that Kindred Hearts is Kindred Hearts. I'm not a part of this agency. I'm not a part of that agency. Any information you give me stays with our organization so we can better serve you. So in that assessment, we ask for the background. How did the children come with you? You know, what are the needs? Do you have supports? What are your most common supports? You know, they'll name family, they'll name church. Some will say none. Some will say I'm doing it all by myself. And so from that assessment, we will assess, you know, your housing situation, your clothing, what needs do you have? I never tell them, oh, I see you need this. I'll say, what do you need from us?
That's right.
Or what is your current need right now? You as the caregiver, then we'll get to the children. And so once we do that assessment, we'll know, they'll tell us what they need. And if I have to refer them to another community organization, then that's what I do. And so we put them on our email list and we make sure that they know of all the activities that we're doing. Our main program is our Kinship circles, which are our support groups. And then we have resource days, which are the third Thursday of each month. And our Kinship circles is the last Tuesday of each month. And that's when the Kinship caregivers come together, have those candid conversations, and then we have what we call learning sessions, where we bring in community resources to talk about what's available, what their organization is all about.
Is there a particular place you have these meetings so that those are listening and probably need these services? Is there a particular place that you all meet in particular, or is it virtual? Or?
So it's virtual. Majority. We do have partnerships with Gunner Chapel Baptist Church. The Richland Library will allow us to come in here in Richland County. When we serve statewide, but we do it through collaboration. So, oh goodness, the church is in Lawrence. I can't think of the name. They're gonna kill me if they're watching this. Y'all know I love you. It's the AME church in Lawrence that we work with as well. And so we'll bring in different community projects and stuff throughout. Say last year we did spring break where we did some counseling sessions and did a family group counseling session there. So we will go within the community. There's Calvary Community Church over in Lexington. They offer us space, and we have support groups there.
Shout out to all of y'all.
Yeah, thank you all so very much. And what we do is we host it versus hybrid. So whenever we do go in, then persons can come in, but people all over the state will still be able to participate because we're on Zoom.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you have to keep up with the times.
Oh yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's good to do in-house, and I'm sure that's available from time to time. But if you're trying to reach the masses and, you know, circle the whole state, I think that's it. Is there any charge for your services?
Absolutely no charge.
Y'all heard that?
No, there is no charge. We meet with Ken, and we don't force anybody to do anything. We give them our number. We get their numbers, their email address, that we keep them informed of the activities. We remind them monthly of what's going on and invite them to come. Because we don't want to be one more thing on their plate.
That's right.
You know, if they can't come, but those who do come, be like, oh my God, I can't come and I got to do this. One lady texted me last night, they got a special call meeting at church. I'm not going to be able to come. I'm sorry, but we'll miss you. Sometimes I ask for permission to record the sessions so we can show people who we serve.
That's right.
And how we serve. We have so much fun. We had a grandma on camera last night, and she was like, okay, y'all, we have a visitor, Mr. Underpants. Her little grandson ran across the back of the street with his underwear on.
Now that's a wardrobe malfunction. But you know, I'm sure you run these things.
Yes, it's community.
This community
it's
and it's family.
Space, it's family. It's their living. And so we don't want to be something extra.
That's right. That's right.
We want to make sure that we are an integral part in their lives, and we are that support that they need whenever they need it.
And reach out.
So we're a 501c3, so we don't charge for any of our services, but we do accept donations.
Do accept donations.
Right?
And at the end of this wonderful program, we will let you know where you can send all these donations if you feel so inclined, and we hope and pray you do.
Exactly.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this.
Sure.
In your observation, what is the biggest point of need for these families? I know that's kind of maybe a hard one to answer because everybody's needs is different. But if you can look back over the families that you've had interaction with, what do you find a commonality with that all of them, or most of them, or a lot of them, seem to need this particular service or resource?
Finances, and finances for different things, right?
Gotcha.
And so we talk about the caregiver, and we'll go back to like informal.
Okay.
So when my nieces and nephews were smaller and we first got them, their grandma went to try to apply for SNAP for them, right? She couldn't get it. Why? Because she was working and she made $1
Oh my God.
too much to qualify. $1 too much to qualify. And she would tell you, so I'm not lying. If I'm lying, I'm lying behind her, and I know it's the truth, right?
Wow.
$1 too much. And what she chose to do was resign from her job so she can make sure she fed all 5 of those children and that they ate.
These tough decisions.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And so that cut down on a lot of her livelihood, on what,
I would
what
imagine
she was
so.
doing. Yeah.
Oh,
And so me, I was 20 something and working my little job, and I really couldn't help her, but she would, she still had mortgage to pay.
Yeah.
She still had, car insurance, car payments, all of this stuff that she had to have in order for them to live and in order for them to thrive, right? But she also had to, when they did have Medicaid, but whenever something wasn't covered or they had to do something outside of this, she had to come out of pocket.
Yeah.
To pay it. So
and
those
very
finances,
thin pockets, I would imagine, at that moment.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Herself and 5 little ones. Right? And so we know that, and I'll continue to use my story. We know that those finances were very much, and still are, needed for families to do whatever they need to be done. Usually the continuous or the consistent finances that roll in through the household are always applied to the children. Okay. And so now I'm having to make payment arrangements with my light bill. I'm having to make arrangements with my mortgage. I'm having to, if this car broke down, I'm having to get somebody to take me and or find money to do this. So
and coordinate those 5 kids.
And coordinate that and pay for my own medication.
Okay.
Right? And so the biggest thing is finances. If we could get, and so what we're trying to do is start like a caregiver's fund. Okay. And it's specifically to help ends meet. Right. For those caregivers who are in our program and who are participating faithfully in our programs, if they say my light bill is due, it's going to be cut off, but I don't pay the minimum of $125, then we can go into that caregivers fund and say, we have gone to Dominion and we've paid that $125, so you're good.
And I like the way you said that. I mean, I mentioned briefly about how everybody ain't right. And what Dr. Kim just said, go to Dominion and pay on your behalf, because there may be cases where people may try to stretch that system dynamic, and having that you've done it to the actual place it needs to go, that shows a high level of integrity, Dr. Kim. Thank you.
Most definitely, we have to be, because we are getting funding through the public. Absolutely. We have to make sure that we are accountable for what we spend and what we use and how we use it. But I also don't want to be so strict. And those public, there are organizations that do pay electric bills, but they have a limited amount of money. And once they get that limited and you're not at cutoff, nobody wants to be at cutoff. Right. Or nobody wants their lights cut off before I have to go to you and get this, But sometimes that's where a lot of people's program is. And so we want to be, especially those who we are familiar with, and we want to be proactive. Yeah. And we want to build that fund so we can support and help the kinship.
And hopefully people won't always be in that situation of extreme need, because nobody wants bad credit either.
Right.
Who wants that? I don't care if I'm taking care of 20 children. Leave me at 800. Okay? Exactly. You got to buy them something later on. Who's going to get the car? Now, this is just temporary. We will be at the light at some point. Lord help. Exactly. Oh, so that's good. Yeah. I've heard of and seen and sometimes been a part of programs where they want to wait until you at the very last grain of rice in your cabinet before they come stretching out their hand. Well, I'm too hungry to eat now. Now I'm mad.
Exactly.
Well,
that's real.
But that's real. That's real.
That is so real.
This is like you said, it's more community, it's more family, and that's what that's God's work. What y'all are doing is God's work.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Because He fed a multitude. And it was okay. There's a lot of people out there, and He didn't ask for ID. And do you have any fish at the house? I'm just saying. But y'all want to hold on to your little stuff. Okay, well, keep on holding on. We're going to see how that works out. But I'm going to move on. Okay, Dr. Kim.
Yes, sir.
With recent changes in national and state funding and threats of removal of funding altogether, have you noticed an impact on your resources, and do you anticipate an even greater need forthcoming?
There will be impact. Specifically what that impact is, I don't know.
Okay.
I know it can be lessened when community comes together. So we do have a lot of food banks that receive federal funding. So that's going to cut down there. Child care, more recently. First Steps program.
Yep.
We talked about daycare and getting these children in school and having to pay. When my son was coming up, I think he was going to Bethel Learning Center, and I think it was maybe $150 a week. I had one.
Yeah. I was giving you read, so I'm what you're talking about.
Yeah. So those type of challenges where you have the First Steps program, where these children could go to school for free, and so that's being attacked. And so you have the Medicaid has always been attacked, but it's been attacked even more. So yes, those resources.
Chainsaw.
Yes, those resources are being attacked. I'm not well versed enough to go into detail what that will look like, but most definitely, anytime you cut something that's a benefit,
and what they consider entitlement?
Right. Okay. I was about to say that, and I'm going to go there with you, right?
Come on.
And so what I hate is when I talked about earlier being segmented. When you think this one thing is going to hurt just the minorities, which I have a problem with that word too, but we'll talk about that another time.
We're going to have another time. Yes, ma'am.
And so when you think that's what it is, then you're sadly mistaken, because kinship care knows not one demographic.
That's right.
I know persons who are in the legislature that are raising their grandchildren.
Wow.
Or their nieces and their nephews.
Wow.
Right? I know persons who are pastors. I know persons who are in the state agencies and they're working.
That's right.
This doesn't hit. They're black, they're white, they're Hispanic.
Trouble is blind.
And
it goes to everybody's door.
So I say, the issue, any social issue is a kinship care issue. So once we start serving people as humans and not segmenting ourselves, then we will be better at serving. So whatever the up top wants to do, it's going to impact, but it won't be detrimental, because why? We are all connected. Yeah.
That's okay. But that's I really wanted to get her take on that, because sometimes we look at the effort and the intention of said organization. And while it's noble and excellent by my standards, I mean, that's just absolutely excellent, but it still falls within some type of structure in this country that we live in. And when you have certain things and people that may be interested in cutting certain things to affect someone that may be disproportionately impacted, it's good to shed a light on it.
Right.
It will allow us, I guess, in our next opportunity to make decisions. Wherever booth you may go into, you may think about those things, as it may seem like you're just impacting this particular group or this particular situation. And life has a funny way of throwing boomerangs.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's why they say the earth is round, because what goes around comes right back around. So be very careful. And faster. And more intense, okay? So I'm glad that, when you're dealing with someone, like I said before, so extremely scholarly and just a good person.
Thank you.
Even if you didn't have a degree, you're still a good person.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? So having someone that has that heart of helping and giving and the mind to know that this may not be available at the same level all the time, she's already fortifying her organization to be prepared for whatever might come. So thank God and kudos to you.
Thank you.
Because we definitely need to keep this moving and going up. Okay?
Most definitely.
Now, speaking of helping and going up,
Yeah.
how can we help? And what can make your organization more effective and successful?
So
y'all listen up on this part. This one you get to be involved.
Yes.
Okay.
And thank you. We are a 501c3 organization, and I tell people we don't collect clothes, and we don't collect food, and we don't give away vehicles because there are organizations in our community that are doing that, right? And so we're able to reach out to those resources. Number one, I need community. I need to know who's out there. I need to know what you're doing. I need to know how I can refer the families that I have the privilege of serving to your organization. I don't believe in being gatekeeping of nothing, because if I want to help, then I have to help them navigate and get to those resources that I know I don't have.
That's
right.
right.
Another way is to help us build our programs. Again, we are a 501c3. We need money. We have a space, an office that we have to pay rent on. Yeah. We have persons who are working. All of us have full-time. Everybody who is connected to Kindred Hearts has a full-time job, but also loves and serves Kindred Hearts and Kinship Care families full-time as well, right? Yeah. And so all of us are working without pay.
Wow.
So whoever what a man needs to be paid for his work. I don't know what the scripture
right
out there, but you know you gotta pay. They need to be paid, right?
I know the scripture. Ain't nothing free. Terrainio, the first chapter, first verse.
Ain't nothing free.
Ain't nothing free.
Exactly right.
No. Okay. Amen.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So that right. In addition to that, and most important to Kindred Hearts, is making sure that we're able to maintain our programs that we have, our kinship circles, our resource days, and also our caregivers fund. We want to build that. That takes money. If I can get a church to say, hey, we are churches or community organizations that say, hey, on your resource days, we'll supply lunch for the caregivers. Awesome. Just let us know how many. You know, and we'll do that. Or if I can get organizations to say, hey, a church in Eastover say, hey, you know what? We'll host your support group. And our usher board will do the meal. We need gas cards for caregivers who do come to our programs. We need to build that resource fund. So whenever those caregivers say, hey, I am behind on my mortgage, and we have that money there. So people can donate to us. They can go to our website at kindredheartssc.org. Click on that donate button, and it will take you to our Midlands Gives page. Now, I know people are familiar with Midlands Gives. Annually, on the second Tuesday in May, we do a campaign where we, as nonprofits in the Midlands, solicit funding and support from our community. And so with that, if you go to our website, click on donate, it's going to take you directly to our Midlands Gives page, where our goal this year is $6,500.
We can beat that.
We can beat that and double it, if you will. Please and thank you. And so all of those funds will go into Kindred Hearts to make sure that we are serving these kinship caregivers.
And if my thank you, Dr. Kim. If my accounting class that I hated so much, serves me well, when you give to a nonprofit, it is
tax deductible. You can write it off. So that's what that 501c3 is. That the federal government has deemed me eligible to accept donations where you can get a tax write-off.
So you can get the money back. It's what we have to learn, especially in our community, is sometimes the reallocation of our own personal funds can, just how I said before, boomerang, can have such a great impact, not only on the organization that you're helping, but it can also help you too. Some of y'all been paying back taxes this year, and you gave it to the feds because they said you made too much. Imagine if you had taken that money and earmarked it to a reputable organization such as Kindred Hearts. You probably would have broken even, and you probably, if you gave enough, could have gotten a tax refund. And these people would have been able to help more people. Y'all think about more than just your little Bank of America, Wachovia, whatever you got going on, and think about how you can use your money smartly. Because believe it or not, somebody gonna get it. Somebody gonna get it. Why don't you make the decision as to who you want to get? What families, what organization, whatever help you wanted to put it towards. Make that decision yourself and don't allow people to spend your money for you. My mama said all the time, you ain't gonna spend my money. So choose who you're gonna spend the money on, okay? That's just my little soapbox on it, because Dr. Kim didn't ask me to say and do all that, y'all. So don't say that she's being all aggressive. That's me, but still come get your hair done. But absolutely, Dr. Kim, is there anything that we did not talk about that you want these people, the Terrainiacs and those who are going to be forwarded and start following your organization? Is there anything you want them to know on this live broadcast so they can?
Sure thing. I think we talked about a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think it allowed for us to have a real robust conversation about kinship care, age-old concept. What I want to stress is, no matter the social challenge that we faced, in our case, we're talking about kinship care. No matter what it is, if we join hands, the work will be lighter. And so I ask you to please join hands with me at Kindred Hearts, South Carolina, to serve kinship caregivers. I bet if you just sit and you think about, oh, Miss So-and-so is raising her niece and nephew. Oh, you know what? Dude at work is taking care of his younger sibling. You know, you can connect yourself to the concept of kinship care and understand that there are organizations like myself, and I will say that Kindred Hearts is the one of only 2 organizations in South Carolina that is established specifically to serve kinship caregivers. There's one in Charleston, it's Halos, and one here in Columbia, and we serve statewide Kindred Hearts. Now, there are other organizations, Epworth Children's Home serves kinship caregivers, and Middle Tiger in the upstate. They are contracted to the Department of Social Services to serve kinship caregivers. So I'm not trying to gatekeep anything, but what I will ask is that you will please join me. If you're a counselor, please contact me. Our families will use your service. I'm not asking you to do anything for free. I'm just asking you to serve out of your heart and meet them where they are. If you're a pastor, look into your congregation and see who you have there. How are you serving Miss Betty better with her 3 grandboys that she's raising? You know, if you are an educator, our education system is really, really trying to build and to serve kinship caregivers. They actually probably have better data than anybody on who's a kinship caregiver. So I will ask you, whatever capacity you are, please reach out. We are, what is my number? 803-363-3346. That's our Kindred Hearts number. KindredHeartsSC@gmail.com. That emails come directly to me. KindredHeartsSC.org is our website. Please reach out to me. We need you as a community. Yes, monetary is very, very, very good. But when money is aside, there are still those resources that are going in our community, and that is you. We value you. We value who you are and what you do. So please join us, because community is what works.
Dr. Kim, I can't tell you thank you enough for sharing your time with me, first of all. But more importantly, thank you so much for what you're doing in the community.
Sure.
Terrainiacs, you know, if you follow anything that I like to do or promote or be a part of, I try to make it all centered around how can we better ourselves as a people, and not just Black people. I'm talking about every people.
Yes.
So to have a young lady such as dedicated and motivated as Dr. Kim to come and share a moment of her time with Terrainio's Hair Studio, located at 103 Charleston Highway in West Columbia, South Carolina, where your imagination is your only limitation. And yes, we're still a Battle Cat company. That means the world to me. And I just want to give you your flowers today and let you know how much that I appreciate the time and the effort and the expertise that you're putting around just helping people. I mean, I know I can't, write a check and just pay all your woes away, but I am so certain, I'm confident that by the effort, the energy, and the love and the earnestness that you're putting forth into the universe today and throughout your life by evidence of your doctorate, that is going to come back to you 10, 50, 100-fold. And I just pray that God just showers you and your organization with more blessings than you even have room to receive. Open up the window, open up the sliding door, God, and allow her and her organization to continue to serve this community and allow these people to thrive. Because at the end of the day, what we do now and what we do in this situation is going to have an impact on our future. She's just paying into the future, y'all. Help her pay into the future. Pay into your future. Some of these same children that you spoke of in these tricarious situations may be your caregiver when it's all said and done. So let them have a good story. Let them have a good report about what happened in their lives. Let them look back on Dr. Kim and Kindred Hearts and her organization so they can have a good report to give to them. And when they serve you and serve our community, they can all say, well, it would not have happened or it could not have happened had we didn't have a conduit such as Dr. Kim and her organization. I want to say thank you to everyone out there in Terrainiac world watching Terrainio's Hair Studio Shop Talk Live here at 103 Charleston Highway in West Columbia, South Carolina, where your imagination is your only limitation. Thank you for counting it not robbery to spend time with us. And I really ask earnestly that you like, share, and follow. It helps keep the lights on. I thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to speaking with you very soon. Much love from Terrainio's Hair Studio. Y'all have a good day. Goodbye.